All right, this is it. This is the last one. Swear to God, these stupid cameras. All right, so I'm back in the garage with another KLR on the lift. You might notice if you follow the channel, this is not my KLR. Well, today what we're gonna do is we're gonna be digging into this thing a little bit. It has 18,000 miles, so we're just gonna go ahead and check the valves and go over the bike and go over a couple of things. Now, I'm gonna make a few videos out of this. We're also doing a doohickey, oil change, all that stuff. So that'll be a different video, but for now, I'm gonna dig into the valves. I'll show you guys how to put it on TDC and how to check the valves and adjust them if need be. So this is what a 2022 KLR 650 with 18,000 miles look like. He's had a couple different tires on it, a bunch of different stuff. It still has the stock muffler. Everything on this bike is pretty much stock. Now you might notice this has some of the adventure packages stuff on it, but that's because we took it off of my bike when I put my crash bars on. We put all that stuff on his bike. He had the panniers. Unfortunately lost one of them. Coming over here, I think that's the original chain, I do believe. You know, so it's pretty decent. There's a lot of grease buildup from the chain, you know, cleaning the chain and going it up, but everything's still nice and tight and good to go. So I'll show you guys that it has 18,000 miles. Ooh, that's a weird angle. There we go. Okay, 18,221 miles. So this bike is pretty much stock. Other than 3D Cycle Parts is windshield risers. Now let me get some lights turned on in here and we'll get to digging into it. I'll go ahead and get the seat taken off. Fuel tank electrical unplugged. Take this left side cover off. This wire that's going right here is the fuel tank wire. That's the plug to unplug the fuel pump. Now there is a fuel vent on the front right side of the tank that you got to take off. And it has a little snap thing on it to hold the fuel line on. The fuel vent, sorry, not fuel line. Just a vent. And I'll show you how to undo the fuel line once I have the tank off. Alright, so here's your fuel line. You have two tabs on either side of it. And what you need to do is you pull the tabs back and then slide the whole thing down. It's hard to do one-handed, but you get them just over that little piece and push it down, and you should be able to slide it off. So once you have them on either side of this, then you're just going to push the whole thing down. Now that it's in the down position, just go ahead and pull the fuel line off. There you go. Now you can do it on the tank side. I'm just doing this just to show you guys how I did it. All right, we're here at the top of the engine now. Go ahead and remove our spark plug. Boop. Set that aside. Now there's another temperature sensor. I believe it's a temperature sensor in here. And then this is an air tube. I don't remember exactly what that's for, but it looks like we're gonna have to take that off as well. And I'll show you what it looks like on the other side too, if my camera will focus. There we go. So this thing does live outside, so that's why you see the rust in the spark plug tube. I'll probably go ahead and wind up pulling that out and cleaning it. Probably could change the spark plug. I'll definitely pull it out and check it, especially since it has 18,000 miles, which it should be. I mean, it is an NGK plug. I don't know if it's iridium or not, but it should be pretty decent still. The rest look like 8 millimeters. It's the other side. This is the other side of the bike on the left side. This is that pipe that loops around and goes down into the top of the cylinder head. It's an air pipe of some sort. I'll have to look up exactly what it does, but I know it ties in with the emissions, and it ties into this tube, which goes back down, back to the intake back there. Alright, let's go ahead and remove our 4 12 millimeter bolts on the top of the valve cover. Alright, now all 4 bolts are out. That should be able to lift up. Might have to move some hoses out of the way to get this over those valves. So let me move to the other side, because it looks like it's going to have to come out the other way. Alright, let's move. Okay, now that we have the valve cover off, I had to remove the top radiator hose, move the radiator forward, bend this little tab that is on the ABS module. This bike doesn't have ABS, but the mount for it, I had to bend that little tab up just a little, bit, and then undo this clip for the wiring harness and pull it up out of the way. Just to finagle that thing out of the left side of the bike. It's really hard to get it over this chain guide, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to get the bike to TDC, top dead center. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and open up these viewing ports. Well, that's a viewing port. This is the crank. This is where the magneto is, and the doohickey is, everything is back there. But we're gonna get a socket on that to be able to turn the engine over. So that way we can find top dead center in this hole. Okay, now to make sure that we are on top dead center, you want the arrow the arrows facing forward, so which means your cam lobes will be facing outwards on the top and bottom, and then on the crank, you'll see a little line with a T, and that T is going to line up with the groove that is in the threads here, and that gets you on TDC in order to check the clearance of the valves. All right, oh, I'm too low. I'm too low. Heave her up and away we go. Alrighty, so now I feel like I'm too high, but anyways, we're gonna check the clearances on the valves. Now, the intake and exhaust valves have different values on which they're supposed to be at. So you're gonna need a set of feeler gauges. You can pick these up at Harbor Freight for like 15 bucks, I think. These are plenty, you know, this is exactly what you need. So I got it right here for the specs. So for your intake valves, we should be between 0.10 millimeters and 0.20 millimeters. So I'm going to put the camera closer. I'm going to check the intake, and I'll show you that real quick, and then I'm going to write it down so that way of all 4 valves, because it's a single cylinder, 4 valves. Try the 0.18. A little stiff, but so that's telling me that one is in spec. 15. Yeah, that feels about right. And the 18 is too thick. So this intake lobe is in spec. I'm going to go ahead real quick and check all the other ones, write everything down, and then I'll show you on the whiteboard. Alright, well, it's been a few days. Had to order some valve shims to go ahead and fix the tightness of those exhaust valves. Now, I'm kind of leaning towards that this is an ongoing issue with multiple, at least 22s, especially the ones that had the cold start issue. I'm really starting to think that that contributed to those issues. We're down here in Florida, so we're really not going to have a cold starting issue because it's never below 60 degrees. I think the cold start issue is like below 30 something degrees. So let me show you guys the valve shims, and then I'll start taking these cams off. All right, here's their shims from none other than 3D Cycle Parts. This is a full kit that they offer. It goes from, you know, 235 all the way up to 270, and you have a couple pairs of them if you need to do 2, which we're gonna have to. That's why I went ahead and ordered the full kit. What's in there now is a 255, but I'm gonna do a little there's a little calculation that you can do to figure out what size valve shims you should put in there to get it within spec. The problem I'm having is that I can't get a reading on it because they're too tight to even get a regular feeler gauge in there. So I'll go over to the whiteboard and show you guys that mathematical equation to figure out what size valve shims you need. All right, so what I have written here, these are our exhaust side and our intake. So our goal to be in spec is 0.10 to 0.20. Now, when I check the intakes, we get 0.10 and 0.15, which these are in spec and are good, so we don't need to do anything with these. Now, with the exhaust, we're supposed to have 0.15 to 0.25 in order to be in spec. Now, we don't have any in spec, you know, because it's too tight. I can't even get a 0.04 inside of there. So I'm going to go off of that 0.04 because that is the smallest one I have, to try to see if I can even get close to being in spec, because our goal is to be in between 0.10, 0.15 to 0.25. So what we can do is, let me make a little bit of a clear space here. And our preset shim thickness is 2.55. The measured clearance is 0.04, and our goal is 0.15, or we can do 0.25 depending on which side of it we want to go. So what we do is we do the 255 plus the 0.04, and then we minus the 0.15. So I know this is getting everywhere. Let me erase that and make it better. Okay, so we have 2.55 plus 0.04 minus 0.15, which is, so that's going to bring us to 2.44 for our valve shim. So we don't have a 2.44 valve shim, but I do have a 240 and then a 245. But because it's tighter of a tolerance than the 0.04, I'm going to go ahead and take a random guess and go with the 240 valve shim. Okay, so on our exhaust valves, the left exhaust valve is 0.6. So with our calculation of 255 plus 0.06 minus our 15, we get 2.46. So with this one being, to try to get in spec, I'm going to go ahead and try a 245, and then with the right side that I can't get a measurement on, and my smallest gauge is a 0.04, which that's how we get the 2.44. I'm going to go ahead and put in a 40 on this side, you know, a 2.40, and then a 2.45 on the left, and then I'll redo everything and check my valve clearances again to see if we can get into spec. Right there. So I'm going to go ahead and take off this cam guide, and then I'll show you how I take off the cam chain adjuster. Slide this hose out of the way for now. Alright, let's go ahead and get this cam chain cover off. And very carefully not to drop the bolt down into the engine case. Alright, so this bolt is in between these two, and that is your cam guide on the back side here. So I'm going to go ahead, I might have to remove both cams in order to get that guide off, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Alright, in order to get this cam, the timing chain tensioner off, what I like to do is I pull this bolt out, And make sure you don't lose the spring. And then pull your two 10mm bolts. Now back over here on the right side of the bike, I'm going to go ahead and loosen up all four of these cam holders. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this front exhaust cam out. The timing chain back here, I'm gonna put a zip tie to hold it up and make sure that we stay in time and the chain doesn't fall down in the engine compartment. Actually, since I'm not taking this cam out, I can just leave it attached there. Okay, so here's the exhaust cam as it sits, and you can see how it being just a little too tight has scorned the back side of the lobe. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to take these valve shims out. There's a little groove in the bucket, and I like to get a pick and just get it up underneath it and pull it out. Alright, so I just put the 240 in on the right side, and I'm going to put the 245 on this left side. Then I'll reinstall my cam, my tensioner, turn it over a few times, and then check it. Alright, so I went ahead and tightened these caps up and these two caps. I'm going to check my clearances real quick just to see if we're any better. So we are right at the bottom end of 1.5. So that side is good to go. We still got to work on this. Well, at least we can get it in there. It's a little tight. Actually, that's in spec. I mean, that's definitely better. That goes in there, so that's in spec. Both of them. I'm okay with that. All right. Yeah, whatever. It's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. I'm not going to show you guys putting it back together. because I have to still dig into the doohickey, which is going to be another video, so make sure you subscribe, watching out for that one. I'm going to be doing a doohickey on this, but the reason why I want to film it is because this bike has 18,000 miles, and I want to see what it looks like. You know, I'm going to check the tension of the spring and where the spring mounts and the doohickey itself. Really, I don't think it's a problem for this third generation, but you know, it's fun to wrench on your own bike, and you know, he feels that, you know, it's something to do. Let's just do it. Go ahead and do it. So now I am going to leave you guys with the torque specs for those cam cap bolts, which are, I have on my phone here, 104 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds of torque on those cam cap bolts. And then the valve cover is 69 inch-pounds. So as long as you get those torque to spec, you'll be good. But definitely, if you guys decide to check your cam, you know, your valve, check your valves and see what the tolerances are. If they are off, if they're too tight, definitely leave a comment on this video, because I would definitely like to see. I did read somewhere in a forum that someone else had the same issue, and I'm thinking that this is what was leading up to the cold start issue. Just everything being too tight, and you know, that definitely is a problem. So I spoke with two from 3D Cycle Parts, and he did say that was contributing to the cold start issue as well. So as always, I'm Full Throttle Junkie. Thank you for watching, and you have a wonderful day. Oh yeah, and check out my channel memberships.